Hi Stampers, this is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. I'm excited to share with you this super fun card. Hopefully you've already downloaded the PDF. We have a Share Sunshine PDF that's available for $12. It's 15 pages of digital stamps. Oops. There's like bunches of them, and you can choose to print them in color, and then there is an instruction sheet that tells you what colors they're using, what dyes they use to cut them out. But I printed mine in black and white, and I've been using all my colors and all of my dyes and all of my punches. It's just been a ton of fun. And so I've been poking them out and creating some cards, and I'm excited to share them with you. So again, welcome. My name is Lisa. I'm with Queen Bee Creations. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. All of the products I use are from Stampin' Up! They're all available in my online store. The one we're focusing on today is the Share Sunshine PDF. It is a set of digital stamps. And this is one of them right here. This is a digital stamp that I printed out on my computer and then attached to my card after punching it out. So we're going to play around with some of those today. It is a download. You would go to the link that I will share with you and pay $12. That entire $12 is donated to a nonprofit organization. There were two of them you could choose from, or you could choose to split between the two. Stampin' Up! And myself make no money off of this PDF. It's just something where we're trying to give back to the community and all of what's going on with all this COVID nonsense. And we're kind of making a little light of it. So we're trying to stay positive and keep stamping and having fun. And so today we get to share that with you. So again, here's the card that I first made. And so I'm going to do something similar to this. And I'm going to show you how I made it. I started out with a card base. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. The next layer is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I went down 1/2 inch. And so this one is 3.5 by 4 3/4. And so that's just giving me a little bit wider frame around the outside edge. And then for the mask itself, I have a little piece of designer series paper, 2 1/8 by 2 3/4. And then I've just got some strips of Highland Heather, which is a coordinating cardstock to this. These are all from the Dressed to Impress designer series paper. This one is 1/4 inch and this is 1/8 inch. So we're definitely going to need the fine tip glue pen for those. And let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is bring in my scoring tool. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to go at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1 1/2. And then I'm going to come over one little tick mark, so 1/8 inch past each of those. And so that's just going to give me this piece with several score lines in it. Am I hitting the light quite right? You'll see. So then I'm just going to take the top, the 1/2 inch, and I'm going to fold that over. Then I'm going to take the 1 inch and fold that over. And then the 1 1/2. Then I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to fold it the other direction. And so that's going to put the pleats in my face mask here. And now I have my pleated mask. Then in order to hold my pleats in place, I'm going to bring in some tear-in tape. And I'm going to have this go all the way across. Now I'm leaving mine a little bit long because I wanted to make sure it went all the way to the edge. Maybe a little bit of overkill, but I went over, and then I'm going to come back in with my paper snips and just take off that little bit of extra. Those of you know me know that I like to overcompensate rather than run short. So That's that part. Then to put the edges on our mask, that's where I'm going to bring in these strips. Now for the 1/4 inch strip, I'm going to run those on the 2 sides. Okay, so I'm just making sure that I'm flush up against the edge. Again, I've got it hanging over both sides. I'll come back and snip off my excess. Then I'm going to do the other side. And I'm going to reach over here and I'm just going to grab some baker's twine. And then I'm going to make kind of loops for either side to be the elastic on the sides of my mask here. Now, if you wanted to, you could make this a little bit 3D by popping this open and then running a piece of the tear and tape down the middle. And so that would make that pop up and look very 3D on the front of your card. Now, I tend to mail a lot of mine, so I haven't done that. I kind of popped it up a little bit, but not quite that much, so that I can still mail it. But if you wanted to keep that open and look like it, you know, is supposed to look like a mask, just run a piece of tear and tape down the middle, and then don't remove the backing. Just leave it straight down the middle. This glue is just a bottle that I got at a big box store, or it might have been online. I might be able to find, maybe it was Amazon. And a straight tip pin goes down the middle. And I've just filled it with multi-purpose glue. And it's only to give me that little bit, like our fine tip glue pen has the teeny tiny opening here. So it's the same kind of thing, just a different kind of glue, because I find the multi-purpose glue a little bit easier to clean up. I love to use my little eraser that removes adhesive, and it doesn't work on this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run the skinny 1/8 inch across the top. And again, I'd prefer to use the little glue, but because I'm on camera, it's acting up. It has a tendency to do that. Now, some of you may be freaking out. I'm getting adhesive all over my paper snips. Don't worry. I use Undo, which is a fabulous adhesive remover. If you're putting a card together and the layers are all wonky or something didn't go down quite straight and you want to redo it, the Undo will actually remove that layer. It loosens up the glue. Then you can just let it air dry, or you can speed dry it with the cool setting of your heat tool. It's like a kind of alcohol, and it will remove the glue off my scissors. It'll remove a layer off of a card, all sorts of wonderful things. If you don't have that, you can use rubbing alcohol also to clean your snips. So back to our card. I'm always digressing. I apologize. I just think they're kind of neat little tips that you might find useful. Then I put the side strings on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up and just set the little string on the tear and tape. And then I'm just going to add some more to make sure we're good and sticky. Do you have our Take Your Pick tool yet? I love this thing. It's got a little spatula on one end. I've got my die brush on the other. Here's a little pokey tool that's great for getting the backing off our tear and tape. There's also a stylus that's 2 different sizes of stylus, a big one and a small one, that you could replace an end with. There we go. For those of you who have, you know, fake nails or no nails, this works great. Okay, so I'm going to just take and place this on here. So you can see here I'm using the flower side because I felt it went with that, but we could have also used the polka dots. I love that all of our designer series paper has 2 sides to it. Okay, So now all we have to do is pick a sentiment. Now on this one, I used the Stay Safe, Flatten the Curve, Stay Apart, and I just punched it out with my circle punch, and you can also die cut it with the circle dies. And like I said, there are 15 pages of all of these different sayings that you could use. So I printed those in black and white. I've got these over here that are all in color. Well, most of them are. So just tons of ideas. This was one of my favorite. It says, I changed out of my night pajamas into my day pajamas to send you this card. I found that super funny because I kind of do. I stay in these dresses like all the time. You've probably seen all of the colors I have of this same dress because it's so comfortable and so easy to work in, but I don't quite look like I'm in pajamas. So I'm going to place that right there with some dimensionals. So there's another cute little card. Like I said, if you wanted to pop this up and have it a little more 3D, if you're hand delivering, you could do that too. Here I've got another one. I've just done a banner, used a little bit of ribbon at the top. Here I was using up some old designer series paper with some enamel dots. These are the nested label dies. They recommended the stitched rectangles. They fit many of our sentiments. And then this one I fussy cut. Okay, so let's just put together some other ones really quick. Like I said, I cut this one out fussy cut, and then I've got the stitched rectangle dies. And then this is part of the golfing designer series paper. And this is, you know, your average card base. Then, you know, the average layer. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. This, I'm putting it on thick Whisper White. Let's bring in some Stampin' Dimensionals. Then poof, there's another card. There's Mango Melody. And then I have Bermuda Bay, 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then this is it goes with the Bonanza Buddies. It's the designer series paper. Let's wrap a little ribbon around there. Now, whenever I adhere ribbon, I like to wrap it around and hook it on the back side with some glue dots. And so this just kind of hides the ends of it so they don't fray or anything. So it wraps around really neatly. And then if, you know, this one, it's probably not going to matter because this ribbon's thin enough, but sometimes our ribbons are a little thick. And so I'll put a Stampin' Dimensional so that it doesn't add any bulk to the card, because the ribbon's not going to be thicker than my dimensionals for sure. Now I'm doing birthday paper because there's been a lot of birthdays and we have not been able to party together. So this one says, it's your birthday, let's party digitally. So this is a 2-inch punch with a 2 1/4 inch punch underneath it. And I just went ahead and fussy cut the little bird. I could have used my brother's scan and cut. That would have made it a little bit neater and a little bit faster, but my husband's been working in my office and things are a little buried over there. So I just went ahead with the tried and true fussy cut. Now, because I pumped up this on the Stampin' Dimensionals, I'm also going to do the bird so that they're even. Also, with the scan and cut, I could have cut out an additional layer of matting the same size as the bird. But there's a happy birthday card. Again, quick, easy, fun, using those digital stamps. You can also just use our stitched rectangles and use this I'm smiling under this face mask. And again, all you need is a little bit of string. Like I said, you can use any sort of adhesive you want. We could go back to our tear and tape, you can use glue, whatever. I just happened to grab whatever was closest, and it happened to be those. So I've now turned that into a face mask. And then I just did simple layers again. So I've got my standard card base, and then I've got the 4 by 5 1/4, and then one smaller is 3 3/4 by 5. And this is just using the colors that Stampin' Up! Recommended be used, that they used in the graphics. And again, this one wasn't a birthday card, but I always can use the other side of our designer series paper. So anything that has a theme on it usually has something a little generic on the other side, so you can use your designer series paper all the time. So who wouldn't want one of these cards in the mail? Can you see how it kind of takes a stressful situation that none of us are happy about, and it puts a little fun on it, and it hopefully brings a smile to the recipient on the other end. I made several over here. I guess I got a little carried away. Same exact idea here. I've got the plain card base, then the 4" by 5 1/4 layer, and then the 3 3/4 by 5. This time I printed the face mask and I cut it out using the stitched nested labels. I love quick and easy cards, and this download makes it so simple. So this is using the designer series paper with the gingham. That's retiring. We have it in all of our colors. We have every single color of designer series paper in the gingham of all of our Stampin' Up! Colors, and it is retiring. We're going to have some new stuff, but it's not going to be gingham. So if you're a fan of gingham, go grab that before it's gone. Also, this green, this nice bright green, is called Call Me Clover, and it too is retiring. It's one of those in colors that's disappearing to make way for some new ones. So if you have any of our in colors from the 2018-2020 set, Grapefruit Grove, Lovely Lipstick, Call Me Clover, Pineapple Punch, and Blueberry Bushel, make sure you have your re-inkers and enough cardstock and designer series paper to see you through, so that you don't run out and be all bummed that we can't get more. Somebody will sell it on eBay for a small fortune later, but you can get it for regular price or sometimes even a discount now. Now for these little flowers, all I did was I used our little small floral punch, I forget the name of it, and then I used a 1/4 inch punch for the middle, just a regular hole punch. And actually what I did first is I ran some soft suede cardstock through the subtle embossing folder. So you can't see it, but there's actually a little bit of texture on the centers to my flowers. And then I took a sponge dauber and sponged the edge of them just to give them a little extra pop. It's a quick and easy thing you can do to give something a little more, I don't know, oomph? I don't know what you call it. It just makes it look a little fancier to me. Here's just a really simple one again. Same layers, basic card base, and thick Whisper White, a layer of Balmy Blue, 4" by 5 1/4, some designer series paper, 3 3/4 by 5, and then this is just one of our dies. Now I'm almost out of my dimensionals here. As you can see, all I've got now is the leftover edge. Don't throw those away. We can still use those. Just cut them into the sizes that you need, and they still work. We want to make sure we're getting the most of all of our supplies. Don't throw stuff away that's still usable. There's another one. Now, I've got 2 of these little sayings I thought were super cute. I've got a piece of white. Let's get some pear pizzazz. 4" by 5 1/4. I think that's going to let my sentiments pop a little more. Sometimes I'll do this to my punched out shapes or die cut shapes just to give it a little bit of an extra oomph again. And it matters how much you tip over the edge is how wide your little border around there is going to be. Now this sentiment here says, I have another quarantini. It's like a normal martini, but you drink it at home alone. And they have actually given you a martini, and you can cut this out however you want. Or if you bought a set I recommended last year before it retired, we have a martini glass in this Sip Sip Hooray. So you can use that as well. Now I think when I put those sentiments on there, I'm not going to have enough room to have the entire glass, but I still wanted the martini. So I'm letting it stamp off of the edge. Now I love to use my markers to ink up my stamps, and this works fabulous with our red rubber, but you can also do it with the photopolymer. Now you could put the strawberry inside the martini or just stamp it on the edge, but the fact that I use markers allowed me to use the Pear Pizzazz for the leaves and the real red for the strawberry itself. And I did not have these all thought out ahead of time, so I'm just kind of doing this on the fly. You could choose to do it, you know, half up, half down. You could put one on the strip, one off of the strip. You can use them without, or you can cut this same die cut out, and then you would slice it down the middle, and then just raise it up a little on the top, and then the other half a little down on the bottom. You'd have a, you know, maybe 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch white on the back, but nobody's going to see that, and you would still have your border. Now, you'll notice I got some ink down here. Not a good thing. I don't want that there. But I don't want to start all over either. So that's when our embellishments come in super handy. I'll bring in some of my enamel dots, and we'll just cover those up. So there, it's like it never happened. Now my final card has to do with Zoom, and Zoom is something that you can use to stamp with other people, stamp with me. It's a wonderful program that is audio video conferencing, and it's free for up to 40 minutes. I've actually paid for the full version so that I can go unlimited amounts of time with, I think it's up to 100 people. And it's really fun to be able to see and talk to people, because I think over text and Facebook and all of that, you don't get the facial expressions that you would. It feels like you're in the same room. We have a group of friends. We get together every Friday night for a couple hours on Zoom, and we just hang out. And I wanted to make a Zoom related card, and so that's what we're going to do with this one. So what I have here is I have a basic gray card base. I have a 4" by 5 1/4 layer of black. These are 4 3/4 by 3 1/2, the overall sheet. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them in half both ways. And so I'm going to come in with my trimmer, and I'm going to put this at 1 3/4. And then I'm going to go again at 2 3/8. Now we know what 2 1/4 and 2 1/2 is. Well, 3/8 is right in the middle. So it's going to be halfway between. Now I could come down. It might make things move. So I have a tendency to use it opposite of my edge, because this edge is raised. And so when I push it into that, it pushes the paper this way. Whereas if I went this way, it sometimes pulls it away. Just a tip. If you have the cardstock move on you, you might want to give that a try. Also, this is a much thicker blade, so I find I'm able to cut a couple at a time. So I should have done that to save you some time. 2 3/8. By 1 3/4. Now I could have cut these individually, but wanted to find an overall size of, you know, what 1/4 of the screen would be. And once I did that, I thought, okay, well, I need 4 colors, and I can make 4 cards. So by just cutting them in half both ways, I'm going to have 4 cards to send out to people. So if you want one, let me know. I'd be happy to send you one as long as you give me your address. Okay, so now I'm going to take one of each color. And then I have my little characters out of that designer series paper for the birthday bunch. And now I'm just going to arrange these like that, so it looks like the little squares on Zoom. And then we're going to put people in them. So let's put our little toucan on one of the screens. And again, I'm having them hang off the edge because you don't see the whole person in the Zoom screen. It kind of cuts you off. So I'm going to go ahead and let that cut off. And there's a stamp set of these guys. I think it's called Bonanza Buddies. And you can also stamp these guys if you wanted to. I just didn't happen to get this stamp set, and so I was able to use the designer series paper and cut my characters out that way. And then I'm using this It's Your Birthday, Let's Party Digitally, or Digitally Party, and I'm going to put that in this one down here. And then just put them together. And there you go. There's your little Zoom meeting. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next Monday at 2:30. And next Monday I have something fun for you. What we're going to do is we're going to play with his little headlights actually light up. So there's little electrical tape back there and a battery under here, and his headlights turn on. It'll also work great in a lighthouse, light up a Christmas tree, lots of really fun things. And so we're going to play with these little lights on my next video. So I will see you next Monday here at 2:30 Mountain Time. I will talk to you later. Bye.